Hi, my name is Dee Dee Johnson. I'm the Director of Family Services for Bend Area Habitat for Humanity. Please take about 45 minutes to set aside time and listen to this audio presentation before you decide to move forward in our partnership program towards homeownership. We'll cover quite a bit of information today, and it's very important that you understand the program and the process before moving forward. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Habitat for Humanity program and what affordable housing looks like and the future of that in Bend. We will talk about the steps towards homeownership and our program requirements, and talk a little more about what our homes are looking like and some of the features of those homes and the next steps in the program. Bend Area Habitat for Humanity is part of an umbrella organization of Habitat for Humanity International. There are many affiliates throughout Central Oregon, including Redmond, Sun River, Newberry, Sisters, and Madras in Jefferson County, and then Bend Area Habitat, who builds in the city limits of Bend, Oregon. We partner with many agencies in the community to make affordable housing happen, including the USDA program, referrals, Latino Community Association, Family Access Network, Central Oregon Builders Association, City of Bend, Neighbor Impact, and most of all our Restore, which helps supply funding that directly supports our program. We'll talk a little bit more about that in other slides. Bend Area Habitat for Humanity was founded in 1989 by a group of local volunteers that were concerned about affordable housing in Bend. Following that, in 1996, we opened our Restore, and in December of 2014, we have moved into our new location on 3rd Street. To date, we have built 117 homes, and our goal is to build 8 to 10 homes in the next year. I don't think it's much of a struggle for everyone to understand that affordable housing in Bend is more and more difficult to come by. We considered you cost burdened by your housing if you're paying greater than 33% of your gross income towards your housing costs. I think many people in Bend, I'm finding, are upward of 50% of their gross income towards their housing, and we're seeing this become difficult when people are having to struggle to afford the necessities such as food, clothing, and transportation, and even medical care. When we start talking about can we afford a home in Bend, and you look at the average home price of $396,000, and an average rent on a 3-bedroom might be $1,800 a month, then we start looking at the income it would take to afford a home in that price range. And if an average income is $51,000, that will only get you a loan of about $247,000, which we all know is very difficult, if almost impossible, to find in Bend currently. With Bend Area Habitat's income guidelines, we look at 40 to 75% of the area median income. So that might mean you're earning around $2,100 a month, or up to $40,000 a month if you're a family of 3. And that loan range would buy you about $69,000 to $183,000 home. So we'll talk a little bit more about how we can subsidize the difference and afford you to be able to purchase a home in Bend. We will talk a little bit more about our loan requirements, but generally a minimum debt load and a credit score of at least 620, and we'll talk about the savings for closing costs as well. So let's take a look at that Habitat family program example for a household size of 3, earning the income of $23,000 to $43,000 a month, which is our range. We look at that home and we appraise it, and the appraised value of the home in this example is $250,000. However, the home loan for this family is only $82,000 to about $209,000. This is the homeowner's affordability. Remember, it's up to 33% of your gross income at the time of the home loan application. So the difference between that sales price, the appraised value, and your affordability is what Habitat has to work to subsidize. So how do we do it? How do we subsidize the difference between your affordability and the sales price of the home? Well, we work with area donors, we work with the City of Bend on reduced fees for services, we work with our contractors who give us reduced fees for services sometimes as well. We do significant fundraising, and our Restore, which directly supports our organization locally, and of course volunteers. So if you've been out shopping for loans and you've become accustomed to looking at some of the conventional home loans out there, we're going to compare a couple of those up against the Habitat model. So we'll look at the FHA loan, which is at a 4% interest rate, and a bank loan at a 4% interest rate, and then the Habitat model, which is at a 3.25% interest rate. Let's take that home example that might be valued at $250,000, and we look at down payments. Now, Habitat doesn't require you to put a down payment. We just ask that you save $1,000 towards your closing costs. And with the FHA loan and the other bank loan, you might be looking at upwards of towards 20% of the home loan. So you can see that might vary. You might be able to work the loans a little differently, but closing costs could come in anywhere between $4,000 and $6,500. And then you add in your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance, and in the case of the bank loans, the conventional loans, you are looking at private mortgage insurance as well. So that can add to your monthly costs. We do not require that as a part of the Habitat program. So when you look at that total monthly payment, Habitat about $590 a month, and then the FHA and bank loans at a little over $1,000 a month. And then you multiply that out times 30 years, the life of the loan, and you can see the significant difference in the mortgage. Because we work with a local lender in partnership with the Oregon State Bond Program, which is an affordable housing home loan program, we are bound by the same federal laws as any other lending institution, which means we cannot sell you a home if your debt to income ratio is greater than 43%. And in addition, our program requires that you be owner occupied, and that Habitat will hold the right of first offer should you want to sell your home. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. In the next few slides, we'll go further into detail for our program requirements and qualifications, and they are under need, ability to pay, and willingness to partner. In general, we require that if you have a bankruptcy, it needs to be at least 2 years old or more, and if you've had a foreclosure or short sale, that needs to be 3 or more years old. Credit score needs to be a minimum of 620, and the legal residency status for any of the income qualifying applicants in the home, and your short-term debt to income ratio would need to be 13% or below. And we'll talk more about how to determine those. And then you need to meet our other selection criteria under the need, ability to pay, and willingness to partner. When we look at the need for housing, we look for things such as, are you living in substandard housing? Is there mold or poor heating? Perhaps it's overcrowded. Perhaps you're even living with relatives. You might be in overpriced housing, which we see a lot of Bend in. And we also look at the condition of your neighborhood. Has there been a lot of police activity? Does it seem unsafe for yourself or your children? And then we also look at the fact that if you've qualified for a conventional loan, but you still could not find a home in Bend in your price range, we take that into consideration under our need for housing qualifications. And we also take other assets into consideration, and if you have any special needs or children with special needs. So let's look at your ability to pay a possible mortgage payment. We'll break down our income guidelines and how to determine your gross monthly income, and then how to determine your debt to income ratio. So for 2017, you can see the income guidelines for your family or household size, and we will review your monthly gross income by looking at your pay stubs, your tax returns, or your Social Security or Social Security disability if you receive that. What we cannot accept in terms of income guidelines are food stamps or temporary disability. We'll look further into your debt and help you determine your debt to income ratio, and then we'll estimate the amount of your affordable mortgage. We'll also pull a credit report and we'll look at your credit status. Part of the program application is a landlord reference letter, 1 year of utility payments and rent history. We'll look at your credit score, and then we'll also ask that you get 3 letters of recommendation. So let's look at an example where you can determine the monthly gross income. For example, this household size of 4 is a single mom with 3 children, and we're looking at her qualified sources of income, which are her wages, and then her daughter receives Social Security disability income of $650 every month. And because her daughter is 10 years old, and we can look at that income as being stable or there for at least 3 years, we can count this income. Mom works 40 hours a week, $12.50 an hour, so she's paid $500 a week. If there's 52 pay periods in a year, you can see she makes about $26,000 a year, or a little over $2,100 monthly. We add that with her daughter's $650 and we come up with a monthly total income of a little over $2,800 a month. Gross annual income is about $33,000. So in this example, let's determine the monthly debt for this household. So we need to know that debt includes things like credit card payments, student loan payments, even deferred student loan payments, medical bills, and vehicle payments, and other loan payments, sometimes family support payments, such as child support, but what it does not include are your utilities and groceries and other miscellaneous bills. So in this case, her minimum credit card payments are $50 a month. She has an auto loan of $150 a month, and then she has student loans of $2,500 total. So the way a bank might estimate that would be to look at 1% of the total amount of the student loans. So in her case, this would be about $38 a month. And sometimes it's 1.5%, so we estimated high just for this example. So when you add all of those payments and potential loan payments together, you're looking at $238 a month. It is important to add that if you have a deferred student loan or you're looking for information about a school loan, you would want to visit the National Loan Debt website, which is www.nslds.ed.gov, or if you have documentation regarding a deferred loan payment or an income-based repayment plan, you'd want to include that in your application and intake information so that we can better determine your potential long-term debt. So let's take that debt and determine her debt to income ratio. So if you recall, her monthly debt is $238 a month, and then we look at her gross income, which is your pre-tax income, of a little over $2,800 a month, and we multiply that times 100. We divide the expenses by the income and we multiply it times 100 to come up with 8.4% as her debt to income ratio. And remember, we want that to be ideally under 13%, because if we're looking at your housing costs as 33%, we add in your monthly debt of 8.4%. Remember, we don't want that to go more than 43 or 45% total. So to estimate your mortgage payment, take your total gross income, multiply that times 0.33, which is 33%, and you'll come up with about $928 a month. And what we do is we estimate that this would also include your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance. Now that amount becomes more realistic when we actually apply for the loan application after a person has been in our program and completed all the requirements. And we look at your income at that time and we'll estimate and determine your mortgage payment. Willingness to partner is a very important part of the Bend Area Habitat for Humanity program, and we'll take the next few slides to explain a little bit more about what that means. So willingness to partner includes sweat equity, or otherwise known as volunteer hours, your monthly savings for closing costs. Remember, we're asking that you save at least $1,000 towards the closing cost of your home, and attendance at monthly classes, financial workshops throughout the program. We'll assign a mentor and you'll work with that mentor once a month. Open communication, the ability to have home upkeep and curb appeal, to be able to take care of your home and do home maintenance, and your willingness to accept the Habitat home as assigned in its size and location, and then the Habitat right of first offer. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And if the home loan is for 30 years, remember that this could be up to a 30-year relationship. So we want it to be one that works for both of us, and that you can feel comfortable being a representative of Habitat. Sweat equity is your physical and emotional investment in the mission of Habitat. And there's 3 goals with the sweat equity. It's partnership, pride in ownership, and development of skills and knowledge. Overall, we require 500 total hours of sweat equity. 200 hours of those 5 are required per adult applicant, and the remainder of the hours can be donated. And the way it continues to break down is that 60 of those 200 hours are in construction, 50 hours are in restore, and 50 hours in scheduled classes, and then another 25 hours for events, and 15 hours of mentor meetings. So you're looking at this over a course of a 1-year period, and you want to break that down, and we'll go into a little bit more of a breakdown in the next slide. So let's plan out those 200 hours if you're a single adult, and in order to do 16 hours per month, if we're looking at it over a course of a year, then you divide that by the number of weeks in the month, and that's about 4 hours a week. And I think this is a really important piece to look at. It seems manageable, but you need to consider if you work full-time. Are you able to fit it in your schedule? Do you need to start looking at childcare options? How flexible is your schedule? If we need to get you on the job site, or you need to do some of those hours at the restore, and being open to modifying your current life, knowing that it really is a period of time, and this really is for the ultimate goal of home ownership here in Bend. In addition, we have some minimum requirements for your sweat equity. We ask that partner families complete a minimum of 8 hours per month, and that when it comes to being assigned your home, that you save 16 hours, construction hours, to work on your actual home. So we've implemented a strike system to ensure that all partner families complete their obligations in a timely, fair, and efficient manner. So it's a 3 strikes program, and you'll be notified on that first strike. We'll talk about that as a warning. Second strike gets a little bit more serious. Third strike, we start to look at whether or not you're really invested in the program, and whether or not you might want to consider withdrawing from the program, or the selection committee may choose to deselect you from the program. During the information sessions that are held at the library, we usually invite a guest from Neighbor Impact, one of their staff, to come and talk about the programs that are offered through Neighbor Impact, and specifically the programs that we partner with when you are selected into the partnership program. Those include home buyer workshops and personal finance workshops. There are 4 personal finance workshops that you will be required to take over the course of the year, and 1 8-hour home buyer course. Neighbor Impact is also the agency that can help with an application towards what's called a matched savings program, or an individual development account. Hopefully that $1,000 that you begin saving toward your closing costs can be put into a match saving program if you qualify. That would become a 3-to-1 match. So your $1,000 could triple, and our goal is to get closer to that estimated $9,000 of closing costs that you can save, and that match savings will go towards buying down your mortgage. The other main goal of this match savings program is to get you into the habit of saving monthly towards establishing long-term patterns for you to be able to afford any home maintenance and repair on your home. So it's very important that you are able to budget in that savings cost. The other part of the program that we work in during the course of the year are monthly homeowner education classes, and those are classes where you come together with the other members of the partnership program, and we cover topics such as home maintenance, property taxes, homeowners insurance, maybe conflict resolution, and a little more about the budgeting. This slide outlines the tentative class schedule, which includes all of those classes and workshops and classes through Neighbor Impact over a 1-year period of time. So what you need to plan on is 1 evening per month with Habitat, and 1 evening every 3 months with Neighbor Impact, and then a 1 day a week for 8-week Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University course towards the end of your program and your year with Habitat. So tentatively right now we're having classes on Thursday evenings, but that could change depending on the schedules of those folks in the program. But that seems to have worked for the last couple of years, so you may want to look at your calendar and tentatively plan around this type of a schedule. As a part of the partnership program, we also match you with a mentor, and we believe that the mentor can be your coach to encourage you through the progress and your readiness. They're another set of eyes and ears. They're communication support. We ask that they be a homeowner of 5 years, and that they don't have to necessarily be a Habitat expert, but we also don't want them to be a supervisor or a relative. You and your mentor will meet monthly. You can set that time and place in a way that works for both of you, and you'll complete some assignments that are prepared for you ahead of time. And if you don't have anyone in your life that you can think about as a potential mentor, Habitat has volunteers that we can also try to match you with. So begin thinking about that possibility as well. Communication and timely communication is a very important part of the process. So your acceptance into the program is not necessarily a guarantee that we'll be able to sell you a home, but we need to stay in communication every month with your income, any changes in your income or your debt that might affect your debt to income ratio, because ultimately that affects your ability to pay your mortgage. So even if you've completed all the other program requirements, we also have to make sure that you're pre-qualified before that home loan, so that we can help you purchase your Habitat home. Part of the willingness to partnership requirement includes understanding that you are becoming a representative of Habitat. We ask that you are able to develop a pride in homeownership, your ability to maintain the exterior of your home, and the interior of your home as well, although what our donors and the public sees is the home exterior. It helps to involve your children if you have them in the mission and model of Habitat, and it is a process where you're in a pretty vulnerable place for a year. There's lots of generosity that comes your way, and sometimes that's a tough place to be, to have your finances open to, although confidentially, open to volunteers and new people in your life. So think it forward. How will you continue to maintain the pride in your home? Is that something that you can prioritize in your life currently? How will your children participate in this process? One of the other parts of the willingness to partner is your ability to accept an assigned home, which will be based, the bedroom number will be based on your household size, and the location of the home. As you can see by the map, we've built all over the city of Bend, and we continue to purchase lots within the city limits. It's probably the most difficult part of the program in not knowing exactly where your home will be until you're about 70 or 75% of the way through the program. It's difficult for me to say at this recording where we'll be building next, because that's a constant process. Purchasing lots in Bend is very expensive, and we do our best to work with donors and partners who are able to give us prices on lots affordably. So that's just a conversation that happens once you're in the program on a regular basis. So we always want to hear and listen for those construction updates, and we let you know as soon as we can, although it is difficult to wait on that one. Patience is a big keyword in this process. Earlier I spoke about the right of first offer, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail about what that means. And basically it's about Habitat having the option to purchase your home back should you want or need to sell it. So our goal is to keep the affordable housing options available in our community, and so if we can purchase your home back, our board of directors likes to be able to do that. So if we choose not to purchase your home back, then you'll be free to sell the home on the open market, and you might have to pay off any other loans that are on the home. So we use a shared appreciation model between the homeowner and Habitat, and in this example a 30-year loan. If you were to want to sell your home within the first 10 years, if it's before 10 years, then Habitat would purchase it back for what you've paid in your mortgage payments, not your property taxes or your homeowner's insurance, but we would give you back your mortgage payments. After 10 years, however, you earn more equity in your home, so it would cost us more to purchase that home back from you. And you can talk to us anytime about the possibility of wanting to sell your home, and we'll run those numbers for you and tell you what it would look like. But this is a unique part of the Habitat loan process. Looking at our future Habitat homes, you'll start to see that we're building a little bit higher density homes, maybe more duplexes. We have been working on our first triplex this year. We are still doing single family detached homes, but we're also looking towards building cottage communities, and so those are still anywhere from 900 to 1100 square feet home, maybe 1200, where you have a little bit more of a shared common space. You'd still own the land, but we're trying to make better use of the land and make that affordable for the home buyer. All of our homes feature in-floor radiant heat. We build homes to the highest level of energy efficiency that we can, so that would include maximum insulation. It may or may not include a garage, depends on the property. They're all, at this point we've been building 2 bedrooms, anywhere from 2 to 4 bedrooms, although it might not be unheard of to build a 1-bedroom. But for resale value, we are typically using 2-bedroom models, even for a single applicant. Anywhere from 900 square feet to 1200 square feet. And we allow homeowners to choose from a pre-approved list of finishes, such as laminate countertops, some of the paint colors, and the lighting fixtures. Typically, bedroom size is determined by your household size, and children of opposite genders will have their own bedroom. If you have any special needs, we will build around special needs, and home assignment again is really based on the completion of your program requirements and knowing that everyone moves at a different pace. But typically, by the time you're about 75% through the program requirements, we usually know where we can place homeowners. Some of the other benefits of being in the Habitat Partnership Program is that although it is a very vulnerable and time-consuming and intense process at times, you're also surrounded by a group of people supporting you, rooting for your success. We give as many resource referrals as we can whenever you hit moments of rough spots in your life, and we believe in networking and being a hand up. So we create and support opportunities for both personal and professional growth. There are 5 steps in the process towards homeownership with Habitat, and the first step is where we are right now, listening to an information session. You can also download an intake form on our website, and you'll have 2 weeks to return those forms. This gives us permission to start working together one-on-one should you want to proceed and prepare for the application cycle. So that step 2 becomes attending your intake appointment. We'll call you and schedule the appointment. If all your paperwork and everything looks like you generally are close to being in the qualification mode for our program. And at that point, you would start working with us until the open application round, at which time we notify folks that we are in an open application round, and you would then collect and submit a program application. And we do that 2 times a year usually. We post those dates on our website. We try to advertise those through local media sources. And that application process usually takes about 8 to 12 weeks. It includes a formal application, a committee review, a home visit, and then finally board approval. If you're approved into the program, then you would be in the program usually anywhere from 1 to 2 years, and at which point you would then apply for your home loan and purchase your Habitat home. So if you do meet our general qualification requirements, we will schedule a one-on-one pre-counseling session with you. We'll send you a link via email, or you can come into our office and do what's called a soft credit pull, so that won't be a hit to your credit score. And then we'll work to prepare your income and debt verification in your file, and then we will sit down and review that with you during an appointment. We'll potentially schedule a second appointment if we want to review any obstacles and set some goals and strategies to prepare you for the next open application period. If you do not meet our basic eligibility guidelines, we will mail out what is called an adverse action letter, which is required by law, but I don't want that to make you nervous, because it doesn't mean that you can't apply for the program when it comes open during our open application cycle, or that we may just give you a recommendation if you're more of a long-term goals, you have maybe some credit or debt to fix, that we might refer you to our partners at Neighbor Impact. Or if it's a little more of a short-term or 3 to 6 month process, then we'll still do a one-on-one pre-counseling appointment with you and see what we can do to help get you into that qualification place where you are ready to apply once the application cycle opens up. So what's next? You'll want to go to our website and download the intake form, fill that out, and return it to us by Wednesday, July 19th. If you don't have a printer and you want to stop by the office to pick up a copy of the intake form, you can do that, as well as get a copy of the slide presentation, or just listen to the presentation again if you feel like you needed to go over some more information. When you do turn in your intake form, we are going to give you a sheet that has a checklist of items that we'll want you to return before your appointment. So please keep in mind that we do not want original documents. We are not responsible for those documents, so make copies before you turn those in to us. Again, you can see the deadline for the intake form. If you want to drop that off and it's after hours, we do have a drop box on the outside of our building. If you have any questions, feel free to contact myself or Catalina via phone or by email. And be sure to go through the appendix and look at the student loan resources. There's a little bit more detail about how we might finance our loans and how that compares against a conventional loan. And I very much appreciate your time and attention to the details of this partnership program. before you decide if this is the right fit for you, but we look forward to working with you.